Do you have cranky, tight, irritated shoulders that stop you from going about your day? Do you have trouble opening the fridge and getting out a carton of milk? Do you have trouble working in the garden? Do you have trouble at work while you're on the computer trying to get things done? Or even in the gym while you're trying to get your workout in? Well, we have the solution. No, this is not an infomercial. This is a video for shoulder pain and how you can actually correct it through exercise. Now, I want to give a quick disclaimer that you should get your shoulder pain looked at by a doctor first before you start any type of exercise regimen. And once you're cleared for that, then you can take the steps that I'll show you in this video. Now, shoulder pain doesn't always have to result in surgery. Sometimes it is just muscular imbalance, and that's quite common. So for the shoulder, what's very common is for the muscles on the front of our body, in this area, in the chest and shoulder, to be tight, and for the ones on the back to be weaker and overstretched. So what I'm going to try to give you in this video is 3 exercises that you can do to address these problems, the most common problems people tend to have. But if you want to look at this topic in more detail, it's available on our website. I'll put a link down below. And it's also available in our Pro Shop. It's already printed out. It's a free PDF that you can keep. With that being said, let's get to the techniques. All right, for this first technique, you're gonna need a lacrosse ball. But this could also be a tennis ball, which is a little softer. Now, what you need to do is get a wall, or I'm gonna use a door frame so that it's easier for you to see what's happening. But you want this to be an anchor to hold the ball in place so that you can lean into it to apply pressure. The muscle we're trying to work in this case is called the pec minor. It's starting up here on the point of the shoulder, and it comes down and across and attaches actually on your ribs into these upper ribs here. Place your ball against the wall like this at about that same height. And then all you're gonna do is lean into the wall like this, and that will apply pressure. So then what you're gonna do is move around on the wall a little bit in order to find the most tender and painful areas. It's usually better to just stay in that spot. If you have a really bad tight knot in that muscle and then you try to move around it aggressively, it usually feels worse, and then what happens is you'll tighten up more, and then you're defeating the purpose of what this drill is trying to do, which is get the muscle to relax. And you want to sustain this pressure for a while, but go until the pain or the discomfort starts to lessen. And then you know that you're starting to release that muscle a little bit. Sometimes you'll even feel the muscle come apart a little bit, or not come apart, but relax, and the ball will sink in deeper to the muscle that you're working on. That's a good sign. So make sure you move around in this area here by the shoulder and attack any hot spots. Make sure you're not on the bone of on the front of the shoulder or your collarbone. You don't want to roll across those structures. There's nothing there that'll help. Stay on the soft tissue of the muscle. So that's our first technique with the lacrosse ball. Okay, so another technique that we want to use is something that's typically seen as a bodybuilding move, which is an incline curl. And the reason we want to use this is as a stretch for the bicep. So we very rarely get our arms straight and have our arm behind us unless we're reaching in the back seat of our car. So what that does is allow the bicep to get fully lengthened, and then we don't lose that ability to move. Otherwise, it shortens, and that affects our shoulder mobility. So when you do this exercise, you want to have an incline bench, like I have here, set up at an angle that's not too low. As the bench comes higher, so I get more into a normal seated position, it's going to have less of a stretch. As I go back, my arm is going to be taken farther behind me as the dumbbell pulls it straight down. The lower I go, the farther I would go back if I adjust this bench, the more of a stretch on the shoulder I'm going to get. So start higher like this and see how your tolerance is. Also, 2 dumbbells. You want to have these be fairly light. Make sure your shoulders are back and down. If your shoulders are forward like this, with the points of them coming together in front, that's going to put more stress on your shoulder and it's not going to feel good. Start to rotate the forearm, rotate the wrist like this. And this will start to gently stretch the bicep a little bit. Then you can do the curl. Now this isn't for strength and it's not to build muscle, it's just a loaded stretch. Alright, so our third technique I'm going to show you is to build up the back of the shoulder. Typically, it's the weakest part of the shoulder and it helps to balance out the tension and the work that the front of our shoulder does throughout the course of our day and through most of our training. So when you do this exercise, you can use a band like I have here, which is just anchored to my power rack, but it can be anchored to a door. And if you're doing this in a gym, this could be, instead of a band, it could be a pulley, a cable pulley machine, like a functional trainer. If you have this set up, you want to grab the band like this with your hands a little bit apart with some band in between. Come back until the band is taut. And then as you pull, your hands are going to move away from each other in this direction as they come back towards your face. When you finish, you want to have your hands moving backwards in this position with your hands above your shoulders. If I pull here, I'm going to work my upper back, but I won't hit the muscles in the rotator cuff as well as if I come high like this. So make sure the hands come up high. The band in between your hands right here should come basically towards your forehead. So you want to have a nice even tempo with this movement, and when you finish, have the hands back above the shoulder so that you can feel a squeeze right there between the shoulder blades and also on the back of the shoulder as well. So that's our third technique. Alright everybody, that's it for this video. Thank you sincerely for watching and checking it out. I appreciate it. If you have questions about anything that I talked about in this video or about our fitness programs at Giammalva, please feel free to email me at jared@giammalva.com. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Thanks again and take care.